Welcome back. To complete our discussion, talking about heat and cold conditions, joining me again is Maurice White Jr., paramedic with the Creek Nation Emergency Medical Services. And I must admit now, I probably won't get to the cold conditions. I'll probably have to have you come back again. This might just focus us on heat.
Okay, I would welcome that opportunity.
Okay. Now, at the end of the last segment, we were talking about heat exhaustion. I do want to ask one question before we switch over to heat stroke, which is the mega condition of the heat trilogy that we're talking about. If a person with heat exhaustion, like you said, they're going to sweat profusely, they may be a little bit disoriented or confused, the nausea and vomiting for sure may be there.
Yes.
You want to cool them down very rapidly. What about the cramping? Because we talked about in heat cramps how you could, as a later effect, even see cramping up to 18 hours afterwards. With heat exhaustion, is it going to be accompanied by this later incident of cramping as well?
It may be. It depends on how well this person is rehydrated. And if this person has had an extreme episode of heat exhaustion, they are in that category that really need electrolyte replacement. And generally you do this through an intravenous line. So they should have those electrolytes replaced. And generally, if those measures are taken, they will not experience the cramping.
Okay.
But there's one important caveat. I have to emphasize that once that fluid is replaced and the person feels better, that this is a cumulative impact. 2 days later, they may go out to work in a hot, humid environment, and the onset of heat exhaustion or heat stroke will be a lot quicker because the body has really not had the time for the thermoregulatory mechanisms to reset themselves, and maybe even for that person to catch up and to rehydrate adequately. So once you get past that initial insult, you still have to be careful for several days to several weeks after that.
Okay, now you talked about heat cramps in terms of how much water we should be taking in normally, as well as during that period of time, especially if you're working in hot environments, outdoors, or even in offices can be hot. Is that the same with heat exhaustion? Would you have that same level of 2 to 4 glasses, 8-ounce glasses per hour concept, or even, I can't imagine I can get more in, but.
Well, to prevent or stave off the heat exhaustion, heat stroke or heat cramps, that advice applies. If you're going to be in an environment that would subject you to the conditions that would cause these medical problems, 2 to 4 glasses an hour, that applies down the line. Now, once you cross that line, an extreme heat exhaustion or heat stroke, in hospital, you may receive up to 4 liters of fluid intravenously just to replace that you've lost. Yes.
Now let's talk about heat stroke. And I do want to say, with the heat exhaustion, it sounds like the types of drinks you're taking in could be more than just water. It could be the Gatorades and things like that, or things that have some electrolyte components to them.
Yes. At that point, the commercial products, if you do have them there on hand, this is the point at which you would use those.
Okay, you'd want to add.
Once again, they do contain some type of carbohydrates, some degree of carbohydrates, but they're different carbohydrates than you would find in sodas, pops, sugary drinks. So the commercially rehydration products are good.
Good, and then you get to hit that heat exhaustion point.
Yes.
Now heat stroke, that, like I said, is the major of the trilogy here. What exactly then, we all think we know about stroke, but heat stroke?
Okay. With heat stroke, number one, the thermoregulatory mechanisms have totally given up.
Shut down.
They can't do it anymore. And also, this person is very dehydrated. Often they will present with, and I'll start with the mental changes first, they will be extremely confused, sometimes even bizarre behavior, extending all the way to the point of coma. And this person will have a very rapid pulse rate. The body is trying to move the blood quicker and trying to get it to the surface of the skin so it can dispel some of this heat. There may be seizures even. Seizures are very common when you reach the level of heat stroke. And that brings in several other things. I wanted to back up and say, though, often we think about This person will not sweat. You hear their skin is
yeah,
hot and dry.
This is the point where there is no sweating.
That's true, except in the environment you may be in. There may be residual moistness to the skin. The skin will be hot at this point, but the absence of sweating or the presence of sweating does not mean that this person has not progressed to the point of heat stroke,
Right.
which is a true emergency.
Right.
And so, along with those, the rapid pulse, rapid respirations, trying to blow off the excess heat, you will have the changes in mental status and, once again, seizures up to the point of coma.
Okay, now this is where we need to call 911
Yes.
right away.
Immediate action is needed.
In the meantime, do we try to cool? You mentioned with the heat exhaustion how you can use ice wrapped in something and putting it in those pivotal places in
Yes.
the neck and groin area and that.
Yes.
Is this the same thing with heat stroke? What do we do while we're waiting?
Number one, you want to assure that the person's airway is protected and open. Now, mind you, this person can go and can be having seizures or in a state of coma. So you want to make sure their airway is open, they are getting air in. Next, you want to remove their clothing and either wet them with water, fans, and not only one fan, if you can incorporate bystanders, you want to get them as wet and fan them as much as you can while applying the ice. And really, ice submersion is one of the primary ways, once in hospital, that the temperature is brought down, because these people are experiencing core temperatures above 104 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, so let me ask you, so if it was like kids on the football field practicing it, and I know they've gone to a lot of things to try to prevent that.
Yes.
But if they have their Gatorade or drinks in the big ice pit, that's the time you need to take that stuff out and submerge the student or the person into that.
Yes. They need rapid cooling. Once again, airway protection first, but once you ensure that, they need rapid cooling. And with this person, because of the mental status, there's a good chance they will not be able to ingest anything orally. If a person's mental status is not alert, you really want to be careful about giving anything orally, because they can aspirate that can go into the lungs, and then you set up a whole new set of problems.
Okay.
So this person will need cooling from the outside. Ice, fans, spray, water spray, anything you can to start rapidly bringing down the body temperature. And high along that priority line is contacting EMS, because this is truly a true emergency.
And do that before you start, or when you see the person experiencing that, the call needs to be made then.
Yes.
So you're on your way.
If you
while
are
they're
alone,
starting to cool.
Yes, if you are alone with this person, the first step should be, once you ensure that they are flat, on a flat surface, if you can, elevate their legs. That supplies blood return to the core of the body.
Okay.
If you are alone, contact 911. Or if you're not alone, send someone immediately to contact 911, call 911.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, my time is just about up here, so what I'm going to say is I thank you very much. I'm going to have you back. I always run out of time, though, Maurice.
Okay.
I'm going to have you back to talk about the cold conditions, because many of those can be serious and life-threatening, and we didn't know about that as well.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the work that you do and for being out there for us.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity. And may I throw a few more
Really quickly.
things? Okay. The elderly, be sure to check on our elderly friends at least twice a day during these seasons, and be aware of the pets.
Okay.
They
Thank you
need
so
that
much.
attention too.
Thanks.
Okay.
Well, that's our show. For Health Alert, I'm Pam Butler. I'd love to hear your questions, comments, or suggestions for future shows. Please write me at Health Alert USA, P.O. Box 50913, Tulsa, Oklahoma 74150, or if you're on the email trail, please email me at healthalert@gmail.com. healthalertusa@gmail.com. And also, don't forget to visit me on YouTube at youtube.com/healthalertusa. Take care, and remember, as Maurice said, check on the elderly and take care of your young, and don't leave anybody in the car in these hot, hot temperatures, not even for a minute. Take care. This program would not be possible without the support of OU Physicians in Tulsa.